Welcome, everyone, to History in the Making, the final race on the streets of Toronto. We're here at Exhibition Place. Race 1 yesterday was frantic, hectic by every step of the definition. What does that mean for today's race? 30 cars set to take place in this last 85-lap event. For everyone tuning in, welcome to the ABN Sports broadcast of the AT&T Champ Car World Series season. Your home of the IndyCar World Championship all year long. As it was before, as it was yesterday, it is today. Sakura Ishibashi on pole position, winning and dominating with most laps led, looking to do so again here this afternoon. Cat Devil Racing did not have a great day overall yesterday. It's starting today in a way better peace of mind. All four of the Cat Devil Racing Hondas in the top four. Mia Vitsut, the Estonian rookie, on the outside front row, the highest qualifying rookie in the field. As it was yesterday, Kuni Kinoshita, the championship leader, starting in third alongside Mia Valdez. It's Hondas and Cat Devil Racing cars all over the top four. Nicole Lechty, who finished the race second yesterday, starts in row 3, fifth place for her, alongside Alicia Kovalkiewicz, who started on the front row yesterday. Not so fun on that primary tire. We had the alternates yesterday, which had some chaos, but had a lot more grip, a lot more speed. Drivers having to handle the car a little bit more today. We'll see a lot of that in this 85-lap event. Row 4 is Natalia Velicevic and Kira Moore. The Canadian driver did not have a great race yesterday. It was very short and abbreviated. Starting in the top 10 for the first time, 8th place for the Vancouver native. Row 5, Artyom Kozlov and Thomas Rogers, Panasonic Team Impulse, likewise still struggling in the qualifying on these street circuits. Struggled yesterday mightily, a little bit better as far as getting ready for today's race. They both gave up two of their cars in the top 10, 9th and 10th. Kozlov lost the lead in the Rookie of the Year standings, looking to get that back here this afternoon. Row 6, Evangeline Porter and Wyatt Jones, two drivers that have experience with each other in the NAMRA Cup Series circuit, now racing against each other again on the Champ Car circuit. They're in row 6. They share that row together, and they have a partnership, those Chevrolet-powered cars, moving to Ford in 2024. Natalia Kurachenko and BK Glover in row 7. Then it's Asher Crane and Simona LaRoe in row 8. Marcus Petrovich and Rex Riley make up row 9. For Riley, anything's better than what it was yesterday. Started this race dead last yesterday. Now in row number 9. Row 10 is Elise Alexander and Keisha Fox. Keisha Fox got to see the checkered flag and finished that race in 11th. Alexander made it 3 corners. Asada Quito and Mateus Michelin in row 11. Michelin got a top 10 yesterday, finished that race in the 9th position. Can he do the same here today? Cameron Jackson and Siri Lundquist make up row 12. Row 13 is Esther Hobson and Bianca Lucero. Shinichi Kamaya and Andrew Draco make up row 14. And then row 15, Kaki Kobayashi finished this race yesterday in the 12th position, looking to do so, but has a long hill to climb in the back row of the field. 29th for him. Anastasius von Sonnen, another rear row start, starting this race from 30th on the grid. The anticipation is high. Yesterday was a frantic race. Sakura Ishibashi again dominated that race, but it was all about that battle for third, a frantic and incredible battle for the third position. That was on the grippier tire. Now we're on the primary tire. We're on the less grip tire. We're on the slower tire. These drivers will have to wheel that car around quite a bit. With 30 cars, we saw how frantic it was yesterday on the start. We saw how frantic it was on pit lane and in the tightest section of the track in Sector 2. What does that mean for the drivers here today? They had limited time on this tire on Friday. They've not been on it since. We'll send it trackside for the command here in just a moment, but we'll let you think about that for a second. This race was frantically wild at the start yesterday. What do we see on lap 1 today?
Drivers, start your engines!
That was the command to fire engines. And it's time for the last formation lap on the streets of Toronto. Decades of history have led to this moment. As we say goodbye to one of the most prestigious street circuit races in the North American hemisphere. It's showtime for the last time here in Toronto. The Samsung Toronto Duels. Race 14 today of the 2023 IndyCar World Championship. The points gap, you see at the bottom of your screen. Kimi Kenosha leads. By just 35 points over the top three. 33 points to Rogers, 35 to Nicole Lechty. The gap is closed down significantly due to the bad luck Kenosha had yesterday. What does tomorrow bring? Again, it's teammates in the top four. Cat Devil Racing dominated qualifying Friday night to get those front four spots for race 2. Can they make the same of it today that they did yesterday with the race win at the hands of Ishibashi? Time will tell. The last warm-up here in Toronto comes down to this: 85 laps, 149 miles of racing here in Toronto. We're glad you're with us. It's time to let the racing begin here in Toronto. The checkered flag is an hour and a half away. Green flag is out now. We're underway. We're racing in Toronto. Ishibashi leads, Vitsut, Kenosha, and Valdez. And we're underway. Cleaner turn 3. Now down towards turn 4. Battle for the front of the field between Vitsut and Ishibashi. As Vitsut goes for the race lead early. Outside lane prevails. Vitsut takes the lead from Ishibashi on lap 1. And trouble. Caution's out. Trouble in turn 3, further down in the pack. That is Quito and Jackson. And the caution we didn't see yesterday, we see today. We'll take a look at what caused the first caution of the weekend between Asada Quito and Cameron Jackson. Again, further down in the order. Again, the caution did not come out yesterday. Controversially, it did not come out yesterday. It has come out here today. Huge checkup, and that's where it all starts with Kurachenko out of the back of BK Glover's car. And the stack up was massive there. Glover got his car refired. You see him trying to get it going. But Quito and Jackson could not. So trouble on the opening lap. But here we go. Mia Vitsut likewise took the lead of this race early on. From Sakura Ishibashi, it's still a Cat Devil Racing 1, 2, 3, 4 after the opening lap. But caution number 1 out on track for an incident that was triggered by Natalia Kurachenko running into the back of BK Glover and triggering the chain reaction that has now claimed 2 cars from this race in Asada Quito and Cameron Jackson. So still some chaos on the opening lap. Not the chaos that we were expecting, though, when we saw 10 cars fall out in the opening lap yesterday. And in come the race leaders. This will put Mia Valdez at the front of the field. Some drivers concerned about carbon fiber there on the racetrack in turn 3. Obviously, it was a huge concern yesterday when we didn't have that caution come out. Some drivers believing that it caused further problems. So it is going to be Mia Valdez, then the 25 of Wyatt Jones, then I believe that is the 81 of Evangeline Porter in third. It would be Marcus Petrovich up to fourth, Alexander fifth, Rex Riley, Simona LaRoe, Kage Kobayashi, Esther Hofson in your top 10 at the moment as things run, but most of the field did come in that time. Looks like Cameron Jackson's car is up and running once again. He is one lap down, but his race is not over. And that is a critical thing for Cameron Jackson. So first caution of the night taking place here. Mia Valdez following the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 pace car. Ahead of Wyatt Jones and Evangeline Porter. Still lights out on the pace car. Extensive cleanup going on there in turn 3. Again, a lot of questions to be answered about why the melee that happened yesterday on lap 1 didn't result in this 4-course caution, not like we're seeing today. Today's caution a lot less severe than what it was yesterday. As you remember, turn 1's crash, it happened just up there in turn 3. And bottlenecked the entire field behind the top 6. Really gave us an interesting turn of events that played out there across the remaining 84 laps in that race. Obviously, Sakura Shibashi ended up winning that race, dominating a decent chunk of it. Already this race is significantly different than yesterday's event. Here in the streets of Exhibition Place in Toronto. We talked a lot about how this is the last meeting in Toronto for Champ Car. Beginning next month, renovations and upgrades and infrastructure projects begin to restore Exhibition Place and make it more appealing for international events, international sporting events in expo centers here in Toronto. With the hope of attracting the Pan American Games and other high-profile international events. It's Exhibition Place. So future plans have already determined where Toronto is going to be at as they look forward to the future of Exhibition Place across the rest of the decade. What happens next for Champ Car in Canada? Still up in the air. The calendar still yet to be finalized for both the Champ Car World Series and the Champ Car Challenger Series. A couple of really big profile venues, the Circuit de Notre Dame in Montreal, Vancouver International Raceway, the short oval that we've seen sporadically throughout the last few years over on the West Coast in British Columbia. One track that was shot down is Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, which held a race in 2016. Infrastructure being cited as the reason why Canadian Tire Motorsports Park not considered a candidate to be Canada's next host for the Champ Car World Series and the IndyCar World Championship. Horizon Corporation, the parent company for Champ Car, very keen on keeping the series in Canada in some way, shape, or form, but what that looks like, we will have to wait and find out. Whatever happens, it will not be here in Exhibition Place. After decades of memories, of history, of legacy and magic, the sun sets and the story finishes here tonight. Mia Valdez returning to the series after 10 years away, the 2014 IndyCar World Champion, taking over for Valerie Fang following a confrontation between Fang and Kunika Noshida at Chicagoland. Valdez saying after getting up to speed and learning this new car that is so different than the car that she drove when she won her title in 2014, says she wants more. Whether it's with Cat Double Racing, the champions, or with a different team, Champ Car is now her main focus. She wants to stay. And she gets to lead the way here. Again, an extended caution period here on this opening lap. We'll see if the lights go on the pace car here this time. Significant repairs being done to the turn 3 tire barrier this time, and a lot of extensive cleanup here underway. The lights go out this time, so they do feel like the cleanup is sufficient enough to get us going once more. So here we go. Magical moment everyone's been waiting for. We're 6 laps in. At 85, 80 laps to go. A long race ahead for the field. Again, it's Mia Valdez, Wyatt Jones, and Evangeline Porter, the top 3 here. Champions of the sport. Mia Valdez, 2014 IndyCar World Champion. Back when this was called the IndyCar Series and not the Champ Car World Series. Wyatt Jones, 3-time NAMRA Cup Series champion. In his rookie campaign in the Champ Car World Series, wanted to take this on, wanted a brand new challenge, knowing this was going to be where it was going to find him. Evangeline Porter, winless drought over 7 years in the making. Obviously, she's been outside of the Champ Car World Series for a part of that time, spending time in the NAMRA Cup Series. finding success, finding victory lane in that series, but her champ car win the streak is 7 years in the making. She has one of the closest finishes in the Champ Car World Series, a photo finish between herself and Jesus Cristobal back in the Lausitz Ring in 2016. Marcus Petrovic still looking for his first win, in the first win for a Serbian driver in 20 years. Elias Alexander, second generation driver, daughter of the late Michael Alexander, the 2007 world champion. Sitting in the top 5, then it's Rex Riley, Simona Leroux, Kage Kobayashi, Esther Hofson, and Sakura Ishibashi in the top 10. His car pulls into pit lane. The flag bearer has the green flag in his hands, and there's an explosion of an engine. Green flag comes out. That's Rex Riley with an exploded engine. So Toronto bad to worse for Rex Riley, as everyone tries to navigate the expired Chevrolet engine of Riley. Everyone does so successfully, as Riley has to try to now limp that car home to pit lane to get it out of the way. They go towards turn 3 now. Everyone checking up this time. And they make it through. Still a huge checkup here. This is not something we saw yesterday. Whoa, trouble! Trouble! Huge trouble! In the tightest part of the track. Is that base suit backwards? It is. Rogers in trouble. Second caution now in a row. That is Kovalkiewicz in trouble. Keisha Fox gets around. Whoa, trouble still. Kamaya. And I believe that is Artyom Kozlov in trouble. It is. Kobayashi in trouble. That is Mia Vitsut in trouble. I believe that's Astra Crane in a huge amount of trouble. There goes Thomas Rogers. And the pandemonium continues. Here in Toronto, Astra Crane and Thomas Rogers get together. And it's the second caution that brings out the melee and the carnage. And this slows down the pace of the race significantly. So a lot of cars now in pit lane. And we have to go back quite a bit. Obviously, Astra Crane's going to be out of this race. That's what happens to Astra Crane. We'll have to go back a full lap here and kind of get a full idea as to what happened on this lap. You see, there's Rex Riley with the expired engine, and they're going to try to fix it. So it may not be a powertrain issue. It may be a fixable issue. They're going to try to get the issue fixed, but I do believe it is going to be an engine issue. That's what I've been gathering from that. Now this is where it gets pretty frantic. That is Kobayashi, and Kobayashi had an issue. And that's where everyone gets involved in a wild ride for Mia Vitsut, who goes for a giant tumble. What happens to Asher Crane here? Getting around Kozlov. And you see Kozlov turns wide there and turns the A to Kamaya. And it's an exploded engine for Crane, unrelated to the issue that happened there in the middle sector. Obviously, you see what happens here. Just gets run right into by Thomas Rogers there. Crane still on pit lane. There is Keisha Fox coming out of pit lane. Race leader is now. I have to double check and wait and see. I believe it's Kozlov that is not the race leader. No wave rounds here for Kozlov or Cameron Jackson. It leaves Elise Alexander as the race leader ahead of Wyatt Jones. So the race leader is going to be Elise Alexander here on the second restart. So another prolonged cleanup period here, this time for a multi-car crash in several different areas of the racetrack, including the start-finish line. But they seem to got pretty well cleared up here. But it's the tire barriers right here and the debris that came from this section that they were trying to make sure that they get cleaned up and cleared away, because this is a part of the track where you can run too wide in it. Obviously, they don't want to have punctured tires, especially heading towards the pit entry complex here. Running down the order here as we stay under caution. Again, a prolonged halt on things here as we wait. Multi-car crash here. There's a black flag for Anastasius von Sonnen for passing before the start-finish line on the initial start. So he's got a penalty to serve. Cars out of this race: Asada Kito, Rex Riley, Mia Vitsut, Kage Kobayashi, Thomas Rogers, and Astrid Crane are all out of this race. Cameron Jackson stuck one lap down. Artem Kozlov staying out on the lead lap, hoping that more drama can help Kozlov get that lap back. So, with Thomas Rogers, what he was able to gain in yesterday's race, he'll lose and then some, being out of this race already. Kenosha, the championship leader, sitting right now in the 13th position. Nicole Luchte, the third place driver in the points, entering today's race in 9th at the moment. So again, still under caution for the second time. Extensive cleanup this time throughout the racetrack and for multiple incidents there. See several cars out, all but one of them out for an engine failure. That is Rex Riley. Rex Riley, the only one out for an engine failure. Everyone else out for the accidents, either on lap 1 or on lap 7. Lights out on the Chevy Camaro ZL1 pace car, which means we're about to go back to green. Chevrolet, the official pace car of the IndyCar World Championship. It'll soon be showtime once more. Here in Toronto, and already frantic activity and tension throughout the field that has already been shuffled down to 24 cars out of the 30 that started. We are 12 laps in. This will be the 10th when it's completed under yellow. Obviously nerves and drivers trying to make the most of the situation. Obviously yesterday put a lot of drivers on the back foot, which makes things even more imperative because there's only 6 races left in the season after today. So it is crucial for those drivers to try to make up some very precious ground. But we are about to go green once more. Green flag back in the air and away we go. 3 wide into turn 1. That's not going to work. How did that work, and how did Wyatt Jones go to the front of the field? Holy cow. Wyatt Jones to the front over Alexander. There's Glover in the middle as well. Everyone going to try to make it through turn 4. Somehow they almost do. The caution out once more. But that's why trouble for the behind Porter and Leroux. Third caution in a row. Pushing us backwards here in Toronto. And that is more trouble. And I believe, I'm not sure if that's both cars out of this race or not. Looks like it might be. Leroux's out. Yeah, that is both cars out of this race. Yeah, something happened to Porter that we were not aware of. That was the restart where Wyatt Jones went for the race lead. This was further back in the order. And that's where it begins, and that is Kenosha in trouble. And the caution really stems there. And that's what draws the pace car out for the third time in succession. And that's going to be very interesting. Once again, engine troubles for both Leroux and Porter. Those are both Chevrolet engines. 3 Chevrolets out for engine failures. Interestingly enough, that is a huge concern on the face of all of the Chevrolet teams still running. 3 of them out in all 3 different teams. So pit stops underway. Some cars staying out, but very few. Nicole Lechty becomes the race leader, with both of her main championship adversaries in trouble. Rogers is out, Kenosha wounded. A huge number of events here. Obviously, we've seen the replay. Back live here with Nicole Lechty leading the way. Artyom Kozlov now in the way of Marcus Petrovich and Cameron Jackson, who is still firmly 1 lap down at this point in time. Then you have, that is 62 of Keisha Fox in 3rd, Wyatt Jones up to 4th still. After that round of pit stops, most of the field came in that time. On a caution for the third time, putting this race to a crawl at the moment. So Wyatt Jones sitting there in the 4th position, then BK Glover in 5th, Alexander in 6th, Valdez, Moore, Hoffson, and Lucero, your top 10 at the moment as things currently run. Wyatt's man on the pace car here. 3rd caution of the night. No retirements from that caution. But a lot of cars now wounded still. Lights out on the Chevy Camaro Z01 pace car as we get ready to go once again. Artem Kozlov has come down pit lane, and now it is all the race leaders together, with Cameron Jackson in the middle of the way. Cameron Jackson now the first car off the lead lap. Green flag back in the air and away we go. Leckie leads over Petrovic and Keisha Fox, who got clear of Cameron Jackson. Cameron Jackson holding up the rest of the field. As they enter turn 3, Keisha Fox dives into the inside of Petrovic to try to go for second place. Trouble still once more. Car spun out. 3 wide for the behind. I don't know if the yellow's out for that or not yet. It will be for that, though. Huge crash. And there's the track blockage. That is a lot of cars involved. And the caution is out once again here in Toronto. And in a big way. Let's go back and take a look at this restart. Again, this is going to take a little bit to clean up. Again, starts off with the braking late into the corner. There's a car spun around. That is Kira Moore that was spun around. And then you see the throughout situation there. That is Ishibashi. Hard impact there by so many different cars. Kamai, I believe, in that as well. It was Kamaya that was involved in that. Von Sonnen involved in it as well. So 4th caution of the night. So pit stops underway for the 4th caution of the night, and this really kind of resets things a little bit. I see Cameron Jackson staying out, now back on the lead lap by proxy. Then it's Bianca Lucero at the front of the field ahead of Sakura Ishibashi. He was nearly collected in that major accident. And then there's Kuni Kinoshita. Very interestingly enough, Kinoshita in that group. Sitting here under caution for the 4th time tonight. Frantic race so far. A little bit of contact there between family there, between Kinoshita and between Ishibashi. 2nd and 3rd there. Then you have Kovacevic in 4th. Glover 5th, Leckie 6th, Kurachenko 7th, Fox, Vulicevic, and Lundqvist round out the top 10 as things currently run. Again, a frantic start of this race. Has really thrown things for a loop here. Lights still on the pace car as more cleanup goes on here in Toronto. Again, not how we anticipated this race going, but obviously a lot of impatience now. The status quo for this race. Lucero leads. Ishibashi, Kinoshita, Kovacevic, and Glover as the top 5. Lights out on the Corvette pace car, not the Camaro pace car, for the 4th time. Chevy Camaro Z01 pace car, the official pace car of the Champ Car World Series and the IndyCar World Championship all year long. It's been a wild race. Still 62 laps to go in this race, 61 at the line when we take the green flag once more. We're down to 18 cars running, 15 on the lead lap. Pace car pulls in. It is Lucero, Ishibashi, Kinoshita, Kovalevich, Glover top 5, Lekti, Kurachenko, Fox, Vlisevich, and Lundqvist your top 10. After a frantic 24 laps, what does lap 25 bring? Green flag back in the air, and away we go. And a lot of cars that are wounded here. So everyone's trying to sort through as quickly as possible. The patience has been a significant issue in this race today. Top 3 breaking away. Lucero leads over Ishibashi and Kinoshita. Whoa! Trouble there. Contact there by Glover. But this time everyone makes it through turn 4. Side by side still though. This has been another problem corner of this track. Everyone made it through this time. Green flag stays out. Lucero stays ahead as Kinoshita moves to second. Kinoshita moving to second over Ishibashi. Lucero over Kinoshita, over Ishibashi, over Lekti, over Kovalevich, over Vlisevich, over Fox, over Draco, over Lundqvist and Kurachenko now in your top 10. Lundqvist trying to make some moves happen here. All 3 Cherokee GP teammates right there in that group, all trying to get around and break away from the 21 of Petrovich, and they'll do so. 7th, 8th, and 9th belongs to Cherokee GP. But now the all eyes are on Mia Valdez and Wyatt Jones as they also try to carve their way up. And here comes Wyatt Jones attacking Valdez. And it's almost 3 wide. 3 wide as they all try to get around. I believe that is Kovalevich are trying to get around right now. They'll sort it out and go 2 by 2 through turn 4. Wyatt Jones still struggling with Valdez. But it's a Cherokee logjam at the fringe of the top 10. Jones and Valdez battling for the 10th spot. But obviously, long-term goal is to try to get around both the Cherokee GP cars of Fox and Kovalevich. Valdez on the inside lane, trying to do so. They'll be side by side. Out of the final corner, across the line, it'll be in favor of Fox, but it's all about who has the advantage out of the first couple corners. Valdez trying to have the advantage here. Not going to have it out of turns 1, 2, and 3. But now we're racing in earnest. Racing in earnest now. We know the pit stop window is 22 to 25 laps. Lucero leads the way over Kinoshita, and now Nicole Lekti looking for her 3rd race win. Kinoshita has 6. Lucero looking for her 1st in Champ Car. Top 5 close together. Velisovich now in this group as well, in the 13 car. There's Andrew Draco. We didn't get to say anything about him yesterday because he didn't make it very far yesterday. Here he is right now in the 6th position. Keisha Fox in 7th. Sorry, excuse me. Keisha Fox in 8th place. Lundqvist has gotten around. No, assuming that is Lundqvist. Keisha Fox is in the 7th position behind Draco. Then it's Lundqvist who's gotten away from Kovalkiewicz. Wyatt Jones and Mia Valdez have gotten around as well. So has Michelin. And the 21 of Petrovic. Then there's Cameron Jackson, who is still a lap down in this race. There's Kira Moore, also stuck 1 lap down. This is a battle for position. Then you have Kovalkiewicz. Then there's Kurachenko in the 14th position. BK Glover on his own, sitting right now in the 15th position. At the front of the field, 5 cars still very close and bunched together. Goes with battle for second place once more. Letty taking on Kenosha. This is a direct battle for points with 6 races to go. We go from Toronto to Portland next. And around Letty goes for second place. Letty wants the 3rd race win and wasted no time getting to it. Letty to the inside of Lucero. Gives Lucero plenty of space, but your new race leader is Nicole Lecty. Talk about capitalizing on an opportunity. That is what Nicole Lecty just did. Big time moment for Nicole Lecty, race leader now here in Toronto, to complete lap 33. As here comes Ishibashi, battling for the 3rd spot. There's Velisovich in the mix as well. Into the hardest braking point on the track. Still side-by-side teammates there. And Kenosha knows that she's wounded. Just trying to hang in there for all the points she can muster. A couple of bad races here. Pocono was not good. That was probably the worst of the bunch. Last night wasn't great either. Now here we go. Duking this out. Kenosha struggling big time. Again, the points bottom of your screen are what matter. Kenosha gonna gain on Rogers at the moment, but it's all about where Lecty's gonna gain on Kenosha here, because there's Lecty in the race lead. We were looking there at Glover, who's the last car on the lead lap right now, in the 15th position. Then there's Ishibashi in second, the race winner from yesterday. There's Lucero still in third, over Kurachenko and then Kenosha. Then there's Draco in sixth. Seventh is Fox. Eighth is Lundqvist. Ninth is Jones. 10th right now is Mateus Michelin. As Mia Valdez has come down pit lane, I do believe, yeah, there's Valdez coming in and out of pit lane now. So pit stops, the window appears to have opened for some. Not sure what that pit stop would have been for Valdez. Looks like a standard pit stop window, or standard pit stop time frame, I should say. So it doesn't look like there's any repairs that were being done there for Valdez. With the window she's at right now, she could be good to go on one more stop. So she could have just taken a short pit here to get some clean air and try to make some inroads on the front of the field. Or at least try to get back to the podium. But there is Lecty at the front of the field. Ishibashi is now clear, so now we're going to have a straight fight between Lecty and Ishibashi. Something we didn't get to see a whole bunch of yesterday, because they didn't really have the same position at any given point. It was always a gaining ground game for Lecty on Ishibashi. Ishibashi's not 100%. That car is not 100%. Had a little bit of damage from an earlier incident. Gap is 1.8 between the two. That is the fight we are at right now. Ishibashi trying to reel in the Iron Maiden. Nicole Lecty has been pretty hard to beat at times. Looking at Phillip Island, looking at Pocono a couple weeks ago. Lecty asserting herself as a championship contender, as someone to potentially dethrone Cat Devil Racing and CUNY Kenosha. And it is all so important. Lecty's keeping Ishibashi at an even 1.9 seconds at the moment as they navigate the streets of Toronto. There's Mia Valdez in clean air, seeing what she can do with that 16 car that is also not 100%. As we get ready to approach the halfway point in this race, the halfway point is lap 43. This will be interesting. There is Artyom Kozlov, isolated as well. There's BK Glover. Then you look a little bit further forward. There's Kovalkiewicz now in 13th. Kurachenko's gotten on through. That 184 car is still going. Pit stops have begun. And it includes for the pole sitter, Ishibashi. Will come down pit lane early. There's also, that is the 18 of Kenosha in pit lane, as is the 88 of Lucero. So most of the top 5 came in that time. Lecty's got to respond now. A very messy first half of this race has now led to the way of racing with pit stops underway. Lecty stays out an extra lap. Extra lap on track for the Iron Maiden. Kenosha will go a lap down. More damage repairs being done for the 18 car. We'll put that car a lap down. It's all about the rest of this race, the remaining 46 laps for Kenosha, and trying to put that car in a position to do better in this longer run. But Lechty leads the way. The pit stop cycle's underway. Ishibashi, despite being the pole sitter, has not led a lap of this race. Lucero led 13. A lap was led by Wyatt Jones. 5 laps were led by Elise Alexander. Nicole Lechty has led 14 laps so far. She'll lead 15 here. Another car in pit lane. That is the 96 of Kovalkiewicz. In pit lane at the moment. Staying out longer is Nicole Lechty, who, remember, pit on that last caution. So she's still got some time to go. She could cover off Ishibashi, or she can stay the full course here. This will be interesting. You see Kenosha just behind, a lap down officially. But again, the race leader has not yet made a pit stop and does not appear set to. Kenosha will have to race that lap back. Just being on a different wavelength at the moment is going to do that. Got several cautions in this race. We've had 4. We spent the 20 of the first 25 laps under yellow. It's been green ever since. We have crossed the halfway point, as Kenosha will now try to find a way around the race leader to get a lap back here and be back in contention for a top 5 at least. Try to minimize the damage. That is Kenosha's goal. In a car that's less than 100%. Trying to take on Nicole Lechty and Red Bull Highlight Racing, who started the season looking like a challenger, had a slump, but now in the mid-form of the season, entering the last stage of the season, has reemerged as a significant contender. More cars in pit lane. Wyatt Jones is one of them. It's all about if Kenosha can get around Lechty under green without Lechty needing to come and make a pit stop here. Pit stops are not too far away though. For Lechty, Lechty's got to be coming in the next 4 laps. Which is probably why Lechty didn't have any urgency to come in and cover off Ishibashi, knowing that that pit stop cycle was already pretty well close to being fully committed anyway. It's just a matter of if Lechty decides to cut off some of the loss here under these last 4 laps. And she will. She will come in 4 laps early. But this almost completely puts her in position to have one more stop to the end as well. It's another car, I believe, coming down pit lane. That's Kozlov. Coming down pit lane for service as well. Race leader Lechty was approaching. Now here we go. That is a 13 of Lispich coming down pit lane, who had also stayed out for a prolonged period of time. Lechty taking service. Pretty standard stuff there. Got ahead of Kozlov, importantly, in that process. And there is Ishibashi on warm tires right there in the window. Lechty still in the race lead, but has to get those Firestone tires up the temp. Working hard to do so here. once again, we're going to have a pretty interesting fight here. Keisha Fox in the race lead will get a lap led and the bonus point for it. But there's Fox in pit lane now, so the race lead will go back to Lecty here. But the race lead now, looking at the times here within a second, because there is Ishibashi in the draft. Tires up the temp. This will be a send into turn 4. Lecty stays in the race lead at the moment, but Ishibashi is there. And now it is full song between the 78 and the 17 for the lead of the last race in Toronto. 6/10 was the gap last time. Lecty a lot better in the last sector, but a lot of top end speed in that Honda of Ishibashi. That last time through, looking at the times as they come to us, Lecty's at a 57.2, 57.19 for Ishibashi, about half a tenth faster that time. Deep on the brakes there into turn 4. Around and up the hill they go. Mia Valdez in third, ahead of Velisevich, Lucero, and Draco. So Valdez's early pit stop strategy did work, but can she make it on just one more stop? That is the very infinite question, and that seems very, very hard to do now for Valdez with how early she came in and made her stop. So we shall see what happens here. But this is the front of the field, the closest battle on track in the field here in Toronto. We'll go and peruse through the field here momentarily, but we want to see if this battle for the lead will see a conclusion in favor of Ishibashi or not. That is the magical question that we've not seen answered yet. Ishibashi attacking the gearbox of Lecty. Lecty, Ishibashi, Valdez, Velisevich, Lucero, Draco, Lundqvist, Michelin, Kinoshita, and Fox, the top 10. Watching this battle continue to play out. The front of the field, Ishibashi just kind of playing timid and coy. She's on the bad side of the tire deficit between the two, and tires still matter. They're on the primary tire, which has less grip, but it's still important because it's still, you want to be as close to level footing as possible, and that's just not where Ishibashi is at the moment. Looking at where Ishibashi's at right now on the track, right there with the race leader, it's going to be difficult matching Lecty as the run goes on, having pit several laps earlier. A little bit further back, there is Mia Valdez. That's the third place car, Valdez, trying to stay ahead of Natalia Velisevich. Right now doing so relatively easily. The Slovenian rookie sitting in the 4th position, 5th place. Looking a little further back, that is Andrew Draco, who has made it around Bianca Lucero. So the two-time former world champion has made it back into the top 5. There's Lundqvist getting around Kira Moore. Kira Moore a lap down, but trying to see to it to finish here in Toronto. Lundqvist getting around to try to pressure and attack Lucero. Just behind Kira Moore, there is Matthias Michelin sitting once again with another top 10 in hand. Right now, got back around the 18 of Kenosha, who has now also been passed by the lap-down car of Artyom Kozlov. Kozlov's season continues to have a bit of a slump here. There is Keisha Fox in the 62. There is the 21 of Petrovich and the 25 of Wyatt Jones. Wyatt Jones kind of wondering where his race went to, because he was leading laps at one point. He was at the front of the field at different points of this race. Then you have Cameron Jackson, who was also stuck a lap down. Elise Alexander out of this race. Artyom Kozlov 2 laps down. So we're still at 18 cars running in this event so far. There's BK Glover, the last car on the lap for the longest period of time. No longer the case. He is now 13th ahead of Kovalkiewicz. There's Kovalkiewicz to the 96. And then there's Kurchenko, now the last car running on the lead lap. And there's the race leaders not far behind. And again, it is still in the hands of Nicole Lechty, who's beginning to opening up a little bit of a gap. Looking a little bit further forward. Kenosha's gotten further away from Keisha Fox there, thanks to Artyom Kozlov. Meanwhile, this battle continues to rage on between Lundqvist and Lucero. Lucero in the 88, Lundqvist in the 69. This is the battle for 6th position on track. Draco is beginning to pull away with 5th. Talk about a much needed result there for Andrew Draco. His confidence definitely wavering after the last few races here, but a top 5 definitely would do wonders for the former world champion. Contemplating having a swan song season next season. Obviously, as first reported on ABN Sports, his longtime championship rival Stephanie Porter-Kelly returning to the World Series in 2024 for Striker Motorsports. What does that mean for that team's lineup with Alexander, Kurchenko, and Michelin? We're going to find out if that, once that is firmly confirmed there. Obviously, the Champ Car World Series and then the Challenger Series, giving a bunch more drivers an opportunity to compete in Champ Car competition. Chero right now doing a decent job battling for that 6th spot there for the forward. Lechty still leads Ishibashi, but lap traffic is about to become a factor in this race. So we'll see how it plays out. Coming to 32 laps to go. Yeah, you got to make it to 25 to go. You got to make it to about lap 65 to really have a chance. Lap traffic just ahead. That is both Kovalkiewicz and Kurchenko in front of them. Lechty trying to get around Kurchenko now. Very tight part of the track to do so, but trying to put a car between herself and Ishibashi, she'll do so. Comes Lekti on Kovalevich and gets around with ease as Ishibashi still struggles with Kurichenko. Now it's 2 cars between the 78 and the 17. Now Ishibashi under the pressure of making things happen here. Here comes Ishibashi attacking Kurichenko here. Through turns 1 and 2. Here we go. Ishibashi finally got around both of those cars, but now the gap has widened up to over 2 seconds in favor of the Iron Maiden. Lekti leads by a significant margin now, looking all the way back there towards Ishibashi. Next up the road, there's Kozlov, a lap down already, 2 laps down already to be exact. Then there's Glover in 13th, the next car to potentially go a lap down in this race. Next pit stop incoming, coming to the last 25 laps of this race. Lap 60 is 25 laps to go. Once you make it to that point, pit stops are pretty well safe to go for that last time. And you look at this gaggle of cars. Now down the back straightaway. Lucero still holding on to that 6th spot over Lundqvist and Michelin. And here comes Kenosha on Fox, the championship leader, gets in front of the 62. Wyatt Jones looks to make a pass happen as well. Not there though, but Wyatt Jones in the mix, battling for a top 10. Again, in the mix, there is, oh, that's a very close call there by Mia Valdez, lap 59. That may not be good enough to make it to the end of the race without having to make another splash and dash for fuel. There is Artem Kozlov. Mia Valdez will come out safely without going a lap down here, because there is the 78 of Nicole Lekti. There is Sakura Ishibashi closing the gap down once more. The gap was as large as 3 seconds. It won't be that way this time. Car lap down, that is Kurichenko, who went a lap down there under green. The gap last time through was 2.9 seconds. This time through across our finish line, 2.5. Valdez again stays on the lead lap here. That is not a threat there for Valdez. But now the window for pit stops are fully open at the end of this lap. And this is a cluster of cars here from the 88 of Lucero, the San Marinese driver, all the way down to Wyatt Jones in 11th. This is 6th to 11th with a couple of lap cars sprinkled in. That Kira Moore in the 67 sprinkled into this. Petrovich not far behind as well. As here comes, once again, a battle between Fox and Kenosha. Kenosha holds on that time. But Fox not afraid to dare the world champion. Everyone really held back here, watching this battle continue to rage on. That is more the lap down car getting around Lundqvist. Again, Lucero beginning the breakaway. Draco's already clear of this group. Lucero trying to do the same. Trying to take the advice and the example set by Draco, the two-time former world champion. They kind of just put the throttle down and just go. But here comes Kira Moore, who's turned it on all of a sudden. Kira Moore again, not on the battle for the lead lap here, for only a lap down, but could definitely play a factor in this. But again, it's all about that last set of pit stops coming up. There is the race leader in second place. That is Lehti and Ishibashi at the front of the field. Less than 25 laps to go here in Toronto. A lot of work to do. And we had 4 cautions that really pushed us to the edge of the time limit. But we are going to see this one through. Still looking at 18 cars running, 12 retirements in this race. Coming to the last set of pit stops in this event. Some cars already under pit stops here this last time. That is the 88 of Lucero coming down pit lane. Ishibashi in now. Again, pit stops are good to go from here on out. Valdez has to do a little bit of saving. Everyone else clear. If Valdez can save enough, that's third place. Pretty well set in stone. But can she? That's the big question. Lehti expected to come in here in a couple laps' time. Really just to cover off Ishibashi, who closed in pretty significantly on that run. Closed into 1.4 seconds. A pretty magnificent gap closing there by Ishibashi. Lehti stays out an extra lap, though. At this point, you kind of just take advantage of the gap while you've got it. Kenosha in pit lane now. And will not be a factor for Lehti in this pit stop cycle. Again, there's Mia Valdez. And then there's Lehti. So Valdez will not be in a position to ever challenge for the race lead here. Obviously without a caution. But right now, in a really good stanza. Of this race to try to make something happen, if it's going to happen at all. Coming to 20 laps to go here for the race leader. Again, pit stops have to happen for a lot of the field, and you see where Ishibashi cycled out. This is why Lehti's not come in to cover off yet. The strategies team for Red Bull High Blood Racing identified where Lehti was going to come out, and it was in this group. And that was nightmare fuel. That's where Ishibashi ended up. And not just in it, behind all of it. Because there's Petrovic. It was the very tail end of this battle for the top 10. That's where Ishibashi ended up. That's where Lehti was going to end up if she had come down pit lane. She is not. In pit lane now is Kovalkiewicz. There's Draco, who also is staying out. Now Kira Moore. Remember, Lucero came in early. The rest of the field has to follow. But so far, they're doing just that. Kovalkiewicz reaching her box. 20 laps to go. And it is still a frantic fight just to figure out the top 10. There is Lehti here. Lehti just trying to outweigh everybody. You do not want to come out in that traffic. That traffic's doing a lot to hold up Ishibashi by all means necessary. Kovalkiewicz coming out on cool tires, but will have fresh tires here to pull away from Lechty, so will not be a factor for long over the race leader. Iron Maiden looking for a third race win this season and a second in 3 races after winning Pocono. Talk about really putting the championship fight in perspective here. Thomas Rogers was in, and then he closed in, and now he's firmly out of it right now. After the accident he was involved in today, classified 26th. It's become a battle once again between Lechty and Kenosha, kind of like how last season turned out. Obviously the season ended early before we could really see these two actually go at it. But now Lechty and Kenosha having a full season to really duke it out here for a championship. Obviously Nicole's mother, Rita, really kind of building this team for this moment. Draco in, Jones is in, both of them coming back out now. Draco not in threat of Lucero or of Kenosha there. There goes Wyatt Jones out of pit lane now as more cars come in. That is Velisevich in pit lane now. And Ishibashi still hasn't gotten around any of the cars here that she's been dealing with. She got around Petrovic, but that was it. And you see that is where Lechty is right now. Slow stops, slow times at the moment, but waiting for that group to sort of break up a little bit before she jumps into it. She's got the pace advantage over them, and it shows. And in this time she'll be. So Draco gets his lap back, as well as Lucero and Kenosha. You see a lot of cars on pit lane there. That is Kira Moore. There is the 2 of Glover. And there is Lechty in her box. Here is the 17. That is the 17 of Ishibashi trying to close in for the race lead. Keisha Fox comes down pit lane, as does Michelin. Whoa, still in pit lane. That is, wow, an issue in pit lane there for Lechty. And Ishibashi's ended up with the race lead anyway. A slow stop by Nicole Lechty. And Sakura Ishibashi has now the ability, with 17 laps to go, to do something that only Alicia Kovacevic has done in the last decade, and that is sweep a doubleheader. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That is critical. That is absolutely critical. Lechty's got to be full song now. 5 seconds to gap. With 15 laps to go here momentarily. I believe 16 laps to go now. Ishibashi leads the way. Lechty with it all to gain. Had a chance to really bear down on Kenosha here. The gap between first and second, just point scoring wise, is 10 points. That is 10 extra points that Lechty could really use. She's not only fallen behind Ishibashi, she's behind Valdez. This is huge. And now the question is if Valdez can make it or not. And if not, how much is she going to hold up Lechty in the process? I said it was 5 seconds a gap. It's now 8. This is a huge moment for Valdez. Talk about doing what you can to soften the blow for the team championship. That is it in spades. Kenosha sitting right now in the 7th position, battling once more and still with Bianca Lucero. We'll look at that fight momentarily as we see Vilisevic getting around Kurachenko. Not a battle for position. There's Draco. There is Lucero and Kinoshita. Kinoshita in the 7th position, Lucero in 6th. The San Marinese taking on the Japanese driver. 6th and 7th there. Wyatt Jones up to the top 10 in 8th. Trying to get around the Canadian driver, Kira Moore, and ahead of the Brazilian driver, Matheus Michelin. 10th place belongs right now to Siri Lundqvist, who's continued to do a decent job as a sporadic driver for Cherokee GP. Then there's Marcus Petrovic, a top 10 yesterday, sitting 11th right now ahead of Keisha Fox. Not a bad run of form so far. Then you have Cameron Jackson a lap down, sitting right now in the 17th position. There's BK Glover on the lead lap, just in 13th. But there is Sakura Ishibashi leading the way, while her teammate, Mia Valdez, working the team game to perfection right now, holding up Nicole Lechty. And Lechty's got to be irate. A slow pit stop has taken Lechty out of the lead of this race after leading 40 laps, the most of anybody in this race. She'll get the bonus points for it. But she will not get the bonus points for winning this race unless something dramatic happens in the next. Looking at the next 13 laps. There's 13 to go in this race. Letty peeks to the inside, not close enough to make a send. This is the second and last race of the weekend and the last race in Toronto for Champ Car World Series history. What happens over these next 13 laps? Pressure intensifying for Valdez with a very game Lechty. The gap's open up to 9 seconds at least. We'll see what it looks like when it updates this time through. Valdez is trying to save fuel to make it that 27 lap stint that she has to go. 9.5 the gap now. Almost assuring victory for Ishibashi here on Sunday. And it was not going to be straightforward. Ishibashi had the pole position, but it was far from ordinary. A slow pit stop by Lechty's crew put her behind Valdez. Lechty's gotten around Valdez here, but is the damage done? Coming to 11 laps to go. Lechty's got to put in everything. The Iron Maiden's got to really come out and shine here. We're going to see if it can. Ishibashi pit a lot sooner, so Lechty's got the tire advantage, absolutely. But with 11 laps to go, catching and then passing, that is a hard thing to do anyway here at Toronto. But now with the pressure as high as it is, with 10 seconds to gap, oh goodness. Goodness gracious. This is either about to be the most magical 10 laps of Lechty's life, or just damage limitation. What a night we've had here in Toronto. What a weekend we've had here in Toronto. Yesterday's race was fantastic. The chaos that started both races today has led to phenomenal racing at the end. The gap is closed down 0.6, 9.3 the gap. But again, it is all about what can happen in these last 10 laps. Ishibashi leads over Lekti, Valdez, Velicevic, Jones. Behind Draco. Draco's in the top 5, Jones in 6. Kenoshta's gotten around Lucero. Lucero's actually dropped down all the way to the 10th position. Lundqvist and Michelin's gotten around as well. So an issue there for Lundqvist has put Lundqvist down in, not Lundqvist, but Lucero has put Lucero down in the 10th position. Lundqvist, who I was looking up Lundqvist's name on the timing screen at that time, up to 8th. And Lucero actually down to the 11th position, now the top 10 here. Something's happened, and you see the damage on the right side of Lucero's car. There's been damage to Lucero's car, because that's Glover now. Oh, Lucero's in danger. There's, oh, this could be interesting. That's another wrinkle in the layers here. The gap is stabilized 9.4. Seems like the fight is over for this race win, unless lap traffic has a say in the matter. And again, the question now becomes, what does Mia Valdez do? Mia Valdez in pit lane could not make it. Was too far away from making it. That's huge. Further down the order, this is around the top 5 here. 2 lap cars in the way. That is Kozlov and more. And then you have Wyatt Jones, who will take over the top 5 in the 5th spot, with the enviable position of trying to hold off the defending world champion and Kinoshita. Kinoshita shadowing Jones. Jones gets around Kozlov with ease. Now has to try to get around Kira Moore. Looks to the inside of Moore there. Not this time. Whoa, almost a late send by Lundqvist on Kinoshita. That was a wild near send. Obviously bailed out of it. But that was wild from Lundqvist. He was very brave on the brakes. And Michelin trying to frantically get around and stay with this group to make some passes happen. All of them in the top 10. 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th on your screen with lap traffic intermingling. This is for them coming to 7 laps to go in this race. Lecky's gained a little bit of time, 8.7 now the gap between the top 2. Still not close enough with the amount of laps left to go. Ishibashi coming to 6 laps to go in this race. Jones defending from Kinoshita while also trying to find a way around the Canadian rookie and Kira Moore. Six laps to go for this group, battling for the top 5. You want to talk about limiting damage. Kinoshita's done just that. Could have been down and out early in this race, like what Thomas Rogers is right now. Not the case. And you see Wyatt Jones has obviously picked up some things from the Atomic Autosport camp, learning to be defensive, approaching the braking zone, fading to the inside lane before popping back to the proper braking line for the heavy braking zone in turn 4. That is something that Evangeline Porter does quite frequently. So Wyatt Jones has obviously been learning from that camp. Obviously Love It Motorsports and Atomic Autosport working together as they get ready to move to Ford in 2024. But Wyatt Jones learning from a driver who is very proficient at this type of racing on a typical level. Unfortunately, Porter out of this race with an engine failure. was not involved in any accidents, just out with an engine failure there for Chevrolet. Wyatt Jones defends the inside. Once again, you saw him just pivot to the middle lane, really forcing Kenosha to either stay behind or make an even braver move to the far inside lane. Whoa! Whoa! Kenosha almost got turned, and they do get turned! Trouble! Trouble still. Cars in trouble. That is in the middle sector. And this race will end under caution. Goodness gracious. That's what the race leader really kind of stumbled into. This race will end under yellow. The pace car will pick up Ishibashi, and this race is over. What a frantic way to end this race. Natalia Velisevich will take the last step on the podium. Wyatt Jones will be in 5th behind this man, the 2-time former world champion, Andrew Draco, who will take 4th. Wyatt Jones stays ahead of Kuna Kenosha here for that top 5 spot. Wow. Glover ends up in the top 10, 7th place for him. Petrovic, another top 10 for him, 8th place. And Akeisha Fox, who will end up in 9th. Bianca Lucero, I do believe, will take the last top 10 spot. I believe that's Lucero right there on your screen. The Motorola card is Lucero. He will take the last top 10 spot. She'll finish 10th ahead of Korotchenko, who will finish 11th. My goodness. But this race will end under caution. Final 2 laps of this race will end under caution. It'll be Sakura Ishibashi and Nicole Lechty, with Natalia Velisevich in 3rd. Velisevich leads Draco and Jones to the rest of the top 5. Kenosha in 6th, minimizing the damage that was about to be dealt to the championship lead. Lechty still gains a pretty decent chunk of ground. Still gains 12 points on Kenosha there. Actually, more than 12, closer to 15 points on that. With the bonus points for leading a lap and leading the most laps. 15 points will be the gap gained. So from 35 points to 20 is the gap that shrinks. Lechty takes over 2nd in the championship standings. And now we're back where we were last year, when the season was ended early for the global pandemic. Lecty in second, chasing down Kenosha with 6 races to go after tonight. The last 6 races are as follows. The Grand Prix of Portland. Portland International Raceway back on the calendar for the first time in the better part of 2 decades. Then Watkins Glen, Denver Motorsports Park, Nazareth Speedway, Arasaka Arena in Night City, and Auto Club Speedway to end off the season in Fontana, California. About to spend a lot of time on the West Coast here. For the next 6 are west of the Mississippi River. 3 of them on the West Coast. This is the final lap under caution. Sakura Ishibashi will sweep the races in Toronto with 2 pole positions and 2 race wins. Did not lead the most laps here today. Only led 18 of the 85 laps here tonight. But this will see the race come to a conclusion. Nicole Lecty gains 15 points on the championship leader and moves into second. Natalia Vulicevic once again asserts control of the Rookie of the Year standings, finishing 3rd ahead of the 2-time former world champion Andrew Draco, who finally gets a good top 5 result that he's been looking for all season long, filling in for the Andrew Schufen-Jang. And Wyatt Jones finally breaks through his first top 5 on a road and street course in the Champ Car World Series. Well earned and well deserved by Wyatt Jones, holding off the defending world champion and the championship leader. Then it's Kenosha, Glover, Petrovic, and Fox, your top 9. Lucero rounds out the top 10. Over Kurachenko, Kira Moore, Cameron Jackson, Alicia Kovalkiewicz. Siri Lundqvist will end up being 15th ahead of Mateus Michelin. Mia Valdez ends up out of this race. Artyom Kozlov in 16th, or sorry, in 17th, excuse me. Then it's Alexander, Hobson, Von Sonnen, Kamaya, Porter, Leroux, Crane, Rogers, Kobayashi, Vitsut, Riley, and Quito that lead this field home. 30 cars on the final race in Toronto. And it's the final parade through the last corner with the checkered flag in the air. 5 cautions for 24 laps in this race. Sakura Ishibashi, in triumphant style, sweeps the weekend. She wins the Sunday race in Toronto. And closes in her battle to become a championship contender with 6 races to go. Again, 6 races remain. We'll be back again in Portland for more action here in the World Championship. We hope to see you with us when all of that takes place. Portland, Watkins Glen, Denver, Nazareth, Night City, and Fontana. The last 6 races of the 2023 season. The championship fight is on. 20 points the gap after tonight between Kenosha and Nicole Lecty. This is the fight we didn't get to see last season. We will see it now. The pace car leading the field back to pit lane. It's been a wonderful time, a wonderful trip. We appreciate you being part of it all for us here tonight. We thank you all so much for being a part of our night. And we can't thank you enough. We'll see you again in Portland. But until next time, on behalf of everyone here for ABN Studios, ABN Sports, and the AT&T Champ Car World Series, we'll see you from the streets of Portland. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, have fun. We'll see you on the West Coast. So long, everybody.